Since 2007, the Marvel Cinematic Universe has captivated countless moviegoers with its ongoing superhero saga. The universe has produced 20 films thus far, with the potential for countless more, as long as the audience wants them. Considering these films have grossed over $17.5 billion combined, it's safe to say people will want more of them for a long time. Fans will debate forever on who their favorite characters are or who the coolest ones are. But we're here to discuss the most powerful characters in the MCU. These heroes and villains aren't created equal, and some are simply stronger and more destructive than others. Here are the 10 strongest characters Marvel Studios has produced up until this point. Without question, Vision has one of the most unique origin stories of anyone in the MCU. A vibranium-laced android, Vision's original purpose was to be the ideal body for the malicious rogue AI called Ultron. That might have worked, except the Avengers stole the body and uploaded Tony Stark's more benevolent AI, Jarvis, into it. This brought Vision to life, though he claimed to be equal parts Ultron and Jarvis. Luckily, the do-good side won out over the kill-everyone side, and Vision has been a force of heroism ever since. Or rather was. Thanks to the events of Infinity War, Vision is no more. The Mind Stone keeping him alive was forcibly yanked from his forehead by Thanos, and that seems to be the kind of death simply undoing the snap can't reverse. Hopefully for Earth's sake, Vision can eventually make a comeback, because he was a formidable hero indeed. He had super strength, could fly, fire energy beams, and even change his weight and density at will. Of course, most of these powers came thanks to the Mind Stone, currently in Thanos' possession. Perhaps Tony can build another Vision, this time one that's super powerful on his own, gem or no gem. If there was no Ancient One, there would be no Doctor Strange. That alone puts her among the most powerful MCU characters, despite her no longer being with us. At the time of Strange's initiation into the mystic arts, the Ancient One was the Sorcerer Supreme. She taught him all about sorcery and mysticism, and was not an easy teacher in the least. Aside from sending Strange to the astral plane, she showed him the ability to teleport from place to place by sending him to the top of a freezing cold mountain. If he didn't have the wherewithal to deduce how to teleport himself back, Doctor Strange would have been a very short movie indeed. One part of the Ancient One's repertoire that Doctor Strange doesn't show a ton of is martial arts ability. She was a master of it, and her unique combination of combat and magical skills made her more than worthy of being called Sorcerer Supreme. Scarlet Witch is that rare case of a villain seeing the light and joining the good side, and Earth is all the luckier for her decision. Don't let her being portrayed by an Olsen sister distract you from how Wanda Maximoff is a nightmare for anyone not on her team. Maximoff's main power is telekinesis, and she's damn good at it. She can hurl incredibly heavy objects at people, as was proven in Civil War when she hurls a bunch of cars Iron Man's way, and later holds up an entire control tower with only her mind. When that fails, she can also use her telekinetic powers to literally tear bodies apart, as she did against Sentinels in the Age of Ultron. Of course, these bodies have to be inorganic, so Scarlet Witch isn't liable to turn Thanos into shredded beef should she escape her current fate of being snapped into nothingness. Another of the Witch's formidable powers is mind manipulation. She may not be able to outright control a mind, but she sure can mold one. While working with Ultron, she was able to telekinetically convince Hulk that he should destroy the city. Only Tony Stark's Hulkbuster armor kept her destructive plans from bearing deadly fruit. If she returns and finds a way to get in Thanos' head, there's no telling what she could convince him to do. If such a thing as a reverse snap exists, she may be the one to convince him to do it. Many MCU heroes have superpowers or extraordinary strength, or can rock a bow and arrow set like none other. Doctor Strange, meanwhile, has something else on his side: actual magic. He's also a genius on the levels of Bruce Banner and Tony Stark. Stephen Strange was a famous neurosurgeon before a terrible car crash left him unable to practice his trade. A chance meeting with the Ancient One introduced him to the mystic arts, a new calling he learned shockingly fast. He became impressively powerful, which he displayed in full while battling Thanos on Titan. Thanks to him, the good guys almost won right then and there, except Star-Lord and his emotions had to go and royally screw things up, possibly beyond repair. Currently, there is no Doctor Strange, as Thanos snapped the Sorcerer Supreme into dust. Hopefully for Earth's mightiest heroes, this is only a temporary setback. See, along with magic, Strange is also a master of time manipulation and an expert seer of the multiverse. There's an excellent chance that Strange's time-centric powers will prove the key to beating the Mad Titan. After all, he's the one who surveyed billions of possible alternate timelines, ultimately concluding only one exists where Thanos loses. If anyone can help make that single successful timeline a reality, it's the guy who's seen it. While his solo film remains the least successful of all the MCU movies, Hulk remains one of the most famous and powerful heroes in the entire franchise. Just about his only weakness is how difficult it is to control him. Most of the time he can't even control himself. Bruce Banner is an unparalleled genius, more than useful for when the Avengers need to discuss strategy and technology. You don't earn 7 PhDs by getting lucky after all. But when he lets loose with his anger, all brainpower goes out the window and is replaced by a hollering green brute who exists only to smash. At his best and angriest, it's virtually impossible to stop Hulk. Your only hope is to slow him down. Recently, Hulk has shown some independent thought, speaking complete sentences and even laughing at times. Plus, he's recently been refusing to come out to play when Banner desperately wants to unleash him. Hopefully, for the sake of the universe, Hulk realizes he has to stop being, to paraphrase Banner, such a big green a-hole and be a hero once again, because he's one of the few beings strong enough to even stand a chance at downing Thanos. Of all the heroes in the MCU, Thor is the only one who's an actual immortal deity. He's lived for roughly 1,000 years, making him way older than Captain America, the supposed first Avenger. Not that age has slowed him down, since he's still as strong as anyone. What's more, he now looks the part, with his short cropped hair and battle scars, including but not limited to a literal lost eye. It's a far more intimidating look than the long blonde surfer locks he sported pre-Ragnarok. Put it this way, how many other heroes could witness the source of their power, in his case Mjolnir, and overcome it to keep on fighting? That's exactly what Thor did after Hela shattered his hammer to bits. He not only recovered to fight Hela and see her demise, but he also took the fight to Thanos sans hammer as well. He might well have beaten the Mad Titan too, had he remembered to aim his new weapon Stormbreaker at Thanos' head. Very likely Thor will be one of the biggest reasons the good guys ultimately prevail in Endgame, though it would be just a little bit easier if he still had his beloved Mew Mew. MCU heroes are all well and good, but enough about them. Who among Marvel's villainous nightmares are in fact the most nightmarish? How about a god more powerful than the god of thunder for a start? Thor doesn't have great luck with siblings. If it wasn't bad enough that Loki kept bothering him and his superhero friends, Thor Ragnarok introduced his sister Hela, the goddess of death. This woman saw Loki's destructive nature, raised it triple, and seasoned it with virtually none of his sense of humor. Hela was far stronger than either of her younger brothers, and far more vicious. She served as Odin's personal executioner before being banished for enjoying war and conquering a bit too much for Dad's liking. Once unleashed, she quickly destroyed Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, and conquered Asgard with almost zero resistance. That's what happens when you're essentially death herself. Even recruiting Hulk into the hastily put together Revengers faction couldn't help Thor and Loki all that much in bringing down their sister. All that happened was Hela got angrier and more bloodthirsty, even gouging out one of Thor's eyes during a battle. The only way Thor and company could ultimately beat her was via the epitome of a last resort, destroying literally everything. Thor used the Eternal Flame to unleash Surtur, a monstrous demon prophesied to bring about the complete destruction of Asgard through a process called Ragnarok. Hela, Surtur, and Asgard all fell during this event, but since Thor and Loki had already evacuated all the Asgardians, nothing of value was lost. It's hard to not be powerful when you're literally a planet, and Ego is no exception. Unfortunately, he was also an evil, malicious planet who desired nothing more than to make everything in the universe a part of himself. The fact that trillions upon trillions of life forms would die as a result of his forced assimilation meant little to him. Perhaps just as bad as his evil nature is how good he could appear when he wanted to. He needed a second Celestial to complete his assimilation scheme, which wound up being his son Star-Lord. To ingratiate himself to his offspring, Ego utilized his human avatar, charmingly portrayed by Kurt Russell, and for a glorious 5 seconds by David Hasselhoff. That plan actually worked, at least until Star-Lord learned Ego had killed his mother. Then the fight was on. But even then, the combined power of the Guardians couldn't bring down an angry living planet. The only way that happened was by planting a huge bomb in Ego's core and setting it off. That's a way quicker method than the only known other way to destroy a planet. Wait billions of years until its sun dies and swallows it whole. Dormammu was the definition of a nightmare, a destructively powerful giant from the Dark Dimension with the power to conquer not just our world, but all worlds. What's more, he was nigh invincible. Brute strength or weapons couldn't hope to create a dent in him. With the help of Caecilius, a traitor to the Ancient One's teachings, Dormammu sought to merge his Dark Dimension with Earth, shattering the latter in the process. His motive was as simple as it was terrifying. He existed purely to destroy. While attempting to do so, he displayed his fearsome strength by killing Doctor Strange within seconds of meeting him. He would have gotten away with it too, had it not been for that meddling time stone. See, just before eating Dormammu's fatal energy blasts, Strange used his stone to create an infinite time loop. As soon as he died, he reappeared, only to be killed again. This happened dozens of times until Dormammu, realizing he was doomed to do this one thing for the rest of eternity, agreed to seal the barrier between his dark dimension and Earth, bothering our realm no more. So far, he's kept his word, which is good for the Marvelverse. If he finds a way to return, especially with Doctor Strange currently snapped away by Thanos, it could spell disaster for the surviving half of the universe. Could the top spot go to anybody but the Mad Titan? This intergalactic monstrosity spent years in the background, biding his time and searching for the Infinity Stones. Finally, in Infinity War, he invaded the forefront and did so with a vengeance. Despite nearly falling to the Avengers-Guardians connection on several occasions, Thanos ultimately did what so few fictional villains can boast. He won. He assembled the entire Infinity Gauntlet, making him the most powerful being alive, and with a single snap of his fingers wiped out half the life in the universe. That theoretically means half the trees, which can't be good for the oxygen levels of anyone who's left. Conjoined twins who probably saw their other half snapped away, and children whose new puppies just became dust are probably none too pleased either. Even with one Infinity Stone, Thanos was a force to be reckoned with, as he proved by chucking an actual moon at his foes. As he gathered more stones, he simply became even deadlier. He will likely fall in Endgame because that's just how superhero movies work, but for the life of me, I can't imagine how Earth's mightiest heroes will pull it off. It won't be easy to say the least. Nor will it be easy for any future Marvel baddie to steal the top spot on this list from him. Even Galactus, the Devourer of Worlds, would have his work cut out for him. The post-credit scene of Infinity War teased a new hero, one who actually may be more powerful than Thanos. If so, then the universe's fate is firmly in Captain Marvel's hands. In the comics, Carol Danvers is essentially all the Avengers in one half-human, half-alien body. She's as strong as Hulk, as good at fighting as Black Widow, can shoot lightning like Thor, and can fly like Iron Man without a suit. She also has powers of her own, like the ability to absorb energy blasts and use them to increase her own strength. She can breathe in outer space, in case Thanos decides to take the battle back up there. Oh, and she boasts something called cosmic awareness, meaning she can not just see the future, but multiple possible versions of it. Since Doctor Strange isn't around to point Earth's surviving heroes in the direction of the only timeline where they win, perhaps Captain Marvel can do that job instead. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige claims Captain Marvel would be as powerful a character as we've ever put in a movie, and by far the strongest character we've ever had. Does that mean she'll have every single power she has in the comics? Probably not, since that would risk making her so overpowered all drama dies. That said, if she's even half as strong on screen as she is on the page, Feige will be right on the money, and Thanos will certainly have his work cut out for him.